Hello.
Hi.
How y'all doing today? How you doing today, Tina?
I'm doing really good. How are
That's
you?
good. I'm pretty good.
It's a great Monday,
Yes.
I guess afternoon
Yes.
here.
I'm awake. I think I have my sanity. No, I do.
It comes and goes for
Yeah.
me.
But we are here today to give you another revved up conversation. Today's topic is,
It is, how do you know if it's working?
how do you know if it's working? Yeah, that's a good one. And that's one of the things, oftentimes we have to question. And in the workplace, we really need to know, are the things working that we put in place with systems, processes? In a home environment, you also need to know if things are working. A lot of us have children, who are in school, and of course, the grading system tells us if things aren't working, right? So your child comes home with a C, and then they come home with a C minus. And then you see a lot of written notes off to the side on the paper.
Yeah,
or
you don't want to see those.
you don't want to see that. But then something's not working because either the child isn't understanding the instruction, the child is not even paying attention, somebody's not holding the child, the parent, or the teacher accountable. There's different ways. But in the case where you say, for example, we're giving an example of the C child, or child that has C's. As a parent, you decide, okay, let me get in and find out what's really going on. So let me talk to him or her and let me look at the grades they've been receiving. Of course, hopefully we're not just getting in on the tail end. We should know way before they start getting C minuses that there's an issue. But in the event that life is just doing what it does, moving on along, and you realize your son or daughter maybe hasn't been sharing those C's with you. So you say, okay, let me go ahead and sit down every day from 3 to 4, 3 to 5, and crack down on teaching, giving some extra attention in that particular subject, or time with the child in that particular subject. So you then find out that what the areas are. Maybe he's just not, understanding that subject very well. So you're teaching him how to study better, right? You're telling him to read to the subject or the chapter 3 times. First time, highlighting, going through real quick. Second time, the first time reading the first sentence or two of each but paragraph. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to give you a kind of a scenario for how you can potentially put things in place so that you can know that and see if they're working or not. And so you teach them how to study better. And then you notice that the grades are improving. And so the grades are improving, and then you say, wow, so that's working. What happened? Was it my input alone? Was it me then communicating with the teacher to say, hey, I see he's getting C's. I need you to give me your information. Can we have a meeting so I can find out what's going on? Let me help. And tell me how you may be helping, because there is sometimes when you come across that it may be that the teacher's style may not be the best for your child. It could be a number of factors.
It could be a whole host of stuff.
Yes, that contribute to why he's getting a C. But you're going to do your due diligence to make sure that changes. So you've done the work and you see some improvement at least, and you believe it's from you because you've sat down more time, you've dedicated. And so as a result, the grades start going up. The communication with the teacher is such, she's even saying, wow, I see some great improvement. So you took the time to invest in your child to get them from point A to point B, which is point C to point B, we'll say. And so you measure what you've done, the success, by the way the child is now feeling. Maybe he's like, oh, he feels more confident, or she feels more confident, wants to talk about, science a little more, is telling you about the things that they learned in the classroom, or how now that what you may have shared by way of going through the subject with them has helped them to see things clearly. So that's an example of you finding out something's wrong, and you taking steps and actions to correct or to help. and the end result is, wow, there's improvement, and I see it by way of the B and by way of his attitude or her attitude. So
Right, exactly. So this whole scenario here with the child in the classroom and the grades and everything, that is, I think, a perfect example of how we can take theories and bring it into both our business and personal lives. So I'm going to go into the theory a little bit. So just hang out with me for a little bit.
I'm hanging out.
Yeah. So basically what we're describing is a quality improvement process. So we do a lot of QI, especially in systems training and especially in healthcare too, because we're always trying to make sure that we maintain a certain state of quality within our organizations.
Yes.
So if I were to break it down a little bit, is your starting point is your end goal, right? So that's the product or the goal that you want to reach or the outcome that you want to have. So maybe for a healthcare organization, it's maybe we want to have this percentage of asthmatics treated within our patient population with maybe a test or some sort of, or we want to diagnose this percentage with this type of diagnosis or case. So that's your goal. And then what you do is based on your goal, you look at your entire process. So it's really about breaking everything down into all of its parts. So you look at from A to Z. So and it's a very linear kind of process. So you look at every single step in the process, and you essentially map it out. So this is a step I take. For instance, if we go back to the asthmatic example, a patient comes in, we get a phone call. What types of questions are we asking them? When we're triaging them, do we have a questionnaire, etc.? How often are we getting them to come in for an appointment? And maybe when they come in for an appointment, do we have specific diagnosis tests that we give out to the parents to fill out? Whatever it may be. So essentially, you're breaking every single aspect down. And then to do the improvement process, if you're finding that your end result, your goal is not where you want it to be, you really got to take it back and look at what you're doing. So now that you've mapped it out, that's the the real major step of your improvement process. That's where everything starts. So it really helps to, even if you have to write it out on a whiteboard or something, or just a piece of paper, it really helps to just see it in black and white. And then once you have that on paper, you can see in my process, is there room for improvement? And if so, in what area could I possibly improve? So based on what you mapped out, we call them key drivers. So for instance, maybe if within, going back to the asthmatic example, maybe when we have a parent calling in saying that their child is having trouble breathing or something doesn't seem right, maybe a key driver right there could be, what action can I take in that instance to help try to improve what we're currently doing? So you make a small little change in that instance. So it could be maybe educating your triage nurses on asking these types of specific questions, and then you implement that, and then you see, does that improve my overall goal over time? So it's kind of like a stair step. So you make a little change here, and then you go up a little bit and see how your result is going, and then if you find that it's working, then you keep that. If you find that it's not, you switch over and go to the next one, and then you keep going up and up. And it's just these little incremental processes. So eventually what that leads to is you're constantly improving your quality. So I know that's very theoretical and very
that's exactly what
QI of me. But I'm the systems girl. I'm I have a background in process improvement, so it's definitely one of the things that I enjoy. But how do we bring that back now that we've given you the theory behind it and a personal example? Let's bring it back to, let's say, a business scenario.
So in a business scenario, for example, we'll make it, of course, in the area that we have expertise in healthcare. We'll talk about a practice, a physician practice, who maybe is having some charge related issues. And we'll say the issue is high denials in a specific category. So the claims are being denied heavily because of the demographic information. We'll say that the insurance companies, Cigna or Blue Cross or whomever, and that's just an example, is kicking back denials that the actual person's birthday is returning a inactive account or inactive policy. So what we know from that and related to healthcare is if the actual date of birth for the patient is incorrect, it won't even make it out the door. It won't make it to the door of the insurance company. So it gets kicked back. So what we can then say from that point, now that's on the front end. We're talking about the front end of the cycle, that it has something to do with the people who are in the front office are either putting in information wrong, or the people in the front office put it in correctly, and somehow it got changed by the time it's time to bill it out. So what we know immediately is that there's something going on.
Something ain't working there.
Right. So, but it's an easy fix. I mean, not easy is the easiest, but it's pretty easy because we're dealing with an address. I mean, not address, but a birthday. So what we do is we have the conversation with the team members who could potentially or possibly the ones who keyed it in wrong, or it could be a system. What if some weird fluky system issue is causing your birthdays to be changed? Now, I know that's probably odd, but it's a possibility. But what I would first do is see the human touch, see who may have potentially caused that error. And in the case, if it's front end staff, you just sit down and say, hey, I pulled the reports, because that's a part of finding out where the issue is. Our reports show that we have 50 birthdays incorrect for the month of March. That's a lot. Now, one or two that could happen. You're typing too fast. That's kind of human error. But 50 means
definitely indicates there's a problem.
Yes.
Yeah, something's going on.
Right. So you want to be swift in correcting it. So that's why the best thing to do is let's have this little huddle. And if we can't have the huddle, all of us surrounding, we want to huddle in the form of a document that we create that says, hey, this is the number of denials we have in this particular category. We need to make sure that you all are double checking. And that means looking back, looking at if you have the in your systems where you house the actual insurance card and the ID, that you're looking back to see what the date of birth is on that and keying it in or correcting. That's the immediate way to, of course, correct something like that. And then if you see that it has been, maybe that's not the issue, that the birth date that's on the card is actually, or not on the card, but on the license, is showing that it was keyed incorrectly. Then the other part you could go to is your EHR to see, like, well, is there some kind of glitch? And that's where you may want to reach out to the EHR, the company, to say, hey, we're having this issue, so they could do some troubleshooting. At the end of the day, you basically want to address whatever the issue is up front. You need to make sure people are aware. You need to have a system in place where you can pull a report so that you can see, how many of those types of denials and break it down further and you have the conversation with everybody, but you more than likely will be able to pinpoint it down to who it was, if it's a person, because everybody it touches, typically an account and an EHR, it leaves a little a
date
data
and person stamp.
Yes,
Yeah.
a date stamp, a data kind of date stamp. So, and then of course that's the way to correct it, and that's on front end. Okay, you can have another scenario where you're getting denials where the charge is made it out the door to the insurance company, but it's being denied as a duplicate, just giving you a phony denial, that the charge has actually already been billed, right? So wow, we've got 100 of duplicates. That's too much in the month of April. So in March we had denials or rejects because the actual ID birth dates were incorrect. Now in the month of April, we got denials because of duplicates. So we're denying a claim again, or we're getting claim denials for the same claim. Well, is it related to those same charges that you rebuild? Because you had the wrong diagnosis code? Like, what is the reason why you have so many duplicate denials? Because in cases like that, similar to the prior example, you really have to have a system in place where you can track your actual denials, and that somebody is actually managing it, so that you are, swiftly, I say, correcting it. And then reconciliation, of course, is what we call the catch-all for all of this. So if you're reconciling your charges, you bill out, historically and based on the systems you have in place. And of course, I'm talking generically because there is more to this, but this would be a longer video. But when you reconcile, you're pretty much making sure that charge A made it out the door and was paid. So if it was denied, why was it denied? And then do we need to correct and rebill it? Do we need to call the insurance company and say, hey, you denied it incorrectly? And then from that, do we need to train the staff if it's a denial because it's medical necessity? Maybe we're billing something that is going out the door, but our diagnosis doesn't match the procedure. So you just need to make sure that you do have a reconciliation process in place that can show that your charges, of course, that were billed in any given month, any given day, has actually made it to the insurance company and was paid, or if it was denied, get it quickly resolved. So that's kind of, the systems. How do you know it's working? You've got things in place, a reconciliation process.
You got to analyze your numbers.
Yes, and you have training in place so that when something comes up, that everybody needs to know this is how you all hold your training, or you have your meetings, so that you can correct. Everybody knows we're all on the same page, and we can stop the bleed, stop it from happening.
Right. So I would call that continuous oversight. So no matter what process you're putting together, whether you're trying to improve your children's grades, or whether you're trying to lose weight like I am, or you got something going on, you're trying to improve your business goals.
Yes.
It's important to be able to track where you're starting from and where you want to be.
Right.
And then once you make an action, also track how that has affected your numbers as well. Right. So that way it gives you physical proof. So for instance, like me, if I implementing like healthy dieting, right? Healthy eating into my lifestyle. Over a course of time, is it really helping me with my energy or my mood? Is it helping me to lose some weight? And then if yes, then I want to keep doing it, and maybe I want to implement like walking on a daily basis. Yes, I'm getting there, I'm working on it.
Too.
But if that works, and if I keep it up, maybe it gets me closer to the goal that I want to do. But it's really just, I think, in any process about being very diligent and vigilant.
Absolutely. You don't just correct and go. You correct and watch and train and go again and watch and train and go again. You don't just let up, because I think everything has a tendency to go to retard back.
Yes.
If you don't stay on top of it, and if you're not consistent, as Tina mentioned. And so these are just some examples for how something's working. So how do you know if something's working? What are your processes? And what do you do to, first of all, implement and to follow up? And to, of course, consistently do just that. And so that's what you should think about, like in your home, in your work life. What do you have in place to make sure that things are working? And if they're not working, what do you do? How do you correct it?
Right. And how can you make life a little bit easier on yourself?
Yes.
So if you can find little shortcuts, or more efficient ways of doing things, then by all means, don't be afraid to
Right.
put those into
That's
action.
it.
For
And
me,
share.
Yeah, maybe it's like I pre-pack my breakfast every morning the night before, so
Right.
then I don't have to cook anything.
Yes, or I iron my clothes for the week. Not all. I wish I should.
I hate ironing. You can ask
Maybe
my
I don't
husband.
iron. I hang up my clothes in the front part of my closet for the week so that I can just get up. Hey, Monday, these are the clothes I'm wearing. Tuesday, whatever the case may be. Simplify your life. And the way you do that is by creating systems and processes and putting in place and being consistent with it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I don't know if I think we've given some good examples of how you can, know or learn. Yeah, well, I said it right the first time. Learn if the thing that you implemented or you created is working, and then how to check to make sure that is consistently working. And so I think that should help you. I hope it will help you. What do you think, Tina?
Yeah, and if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out.
Yes.
I mean, we like to talk. We're always
Yes.
available. So.
We like to show, and we like to share, and we like to train, but most importantly, we're Rev'd Up Consulting, and so that's what we like to do. We like to consult. We like to help you fix your issues that will help things to flow better, to improve your processes, to increase your revenue, and to make sure that, you are running an efficient practice, business, and even home.
Yeah.
Oh, I dropped my bracelet. I'll wait to get that because you'll see the top of my head.
I
But
think that's it.
that's it. We hope you have a wonderful day. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.